everyone, I am Ishanya and we are here with us today, Dr. Ankur Raina sir. He's one of my professors from undergraduate. And before we begin, I'd like to briefly share what we're trying to do with Uncharted chapters so that this conversation has the right context. This space is not just about resumes, metrics, or even technical achievements. It's about the stories that usually stay behind the resume, the doubts, the turning points, the moments of uncertainty, and the value that quietly shape how people do research and live their lives. We are truly grateful that you are one of open to a spontaneous and free-flowing conversation that aligns closely with how we think meaningful reflections happen, sir. With that in mind, I'd like to start with a quick introduction. I'm Ishanya. This is Dr. Ankur Raina sir, and this is Biman. With that in mind, my first question would be when you introduce yourself to someone outside academia, how would you describe what you do, sir?
Okay, I just say I'm Ankur and am a faculty here at ISET Bhopal. And that's all. I think more than enough. That's more than anything to begin the conversation. And depending on the response I get, I change the introduction. So I need to know who I'm talking to, right? So uh, in order to portray myself or to show what is behind this facade called Ankur.
So let's say for a general public of undergraduate students and probably people in research, how would you say, what are you currently working on? And take us back to the beginning on what got you started in the domain.
Okay, so for students, I would say working in the area of quantum computing, and the journey started when I was preparing for IIT JEE. The usual virus that gets into the students in that age. So I was preparing for IIT JEE, and at the same time, we used to have these uh, National Geographic Channel, or I think it was Discovery. I used to watch these videos by Brian Greene, and they were very nice animations. And I thought, well, this is something that interests me. This is beautiful, and this stayed with me. So quantum mechanics stayed with me. But then after IIT exam, I did not clear. Uh, so that stayed with me, right? All that desire for learning quantum mechanics. Then you take the usual route. You ask people around when you're clueless, and you just had an upset in after years of training for this exam. So you're broken in your heart. You don't have much goals as of now, and you're really broken, and you don't know what to do. So you ask around, and then you if you don't get anywhere, you do the engineering, right? That's the usual joke. So that's what I did. And during my engineering, I realized, I think I am best suited in learning things, and start being in the academic world suited me because this was the natural setting, I think, studying and teaching, learning, and all that. And then I went to industry for a year, and that sort of made sure, or gave me a stamp that really I don't belong here. So I don't belong in industry. And during my industry days, I was preparing for this exam called GATE. And well, after a couple of attempts, I got admission in IASC, and that's where this journey of next level of learning happened. It was Masters of Engineering, and that was a very the first semester was a nightmare. So that was really hard. But then, as they say, the going gets tough, the tough gets going. So that's when I continued, and I met some really amazing professors there who were really humble and grounded, and this was something I had never seen before. So people who are generally very good in knowledge, or they think they are very knowledgeable, uh, they were not grounded. And here I saw a rare combination of really knowledgeable and really. So then I said this is a nice place, and even though I got a job offer, the the campus was the love for the campus was too much for me to leave it at masters. It was Professor Vittal Rao. He gave an amazing set of math lectures, and he was looking for some topic for PhD, and it sort of fell in place what he was speaking and what I was trying to get into. And well, I think it was luck or serendipity, whatever you can say, that I found a professor who was interested in quantum computing. I had no background in quantum computing, and that's where your old love called quantum mechanics, which was there in your 12th standard or 11th, 12th, that surfaced again on and I thought this is a good journey to take, and I decided to do PhD. So after about 5 or 6 years, I finished, and then I was looking for a postdoc, and then I got a job offer in Arizona, and then the same time COVID happened, right? After maybe 1.5 years, I decided to return. At the same time, I had got an offer here at ISET Bhopal. So I joined. So I'm currently teaching and learning and doing research at ISET Bhopal in the Department of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science, and exploring life as a teacher, and staying young with the students here. I think the campus life keeps you young. So I'm grateful to all that happened in my life uh, to be in this position right now.
So your background was in EC, if I'm not wrong.
Yes,
And
sir.
what was your PhD and postdoc about, sir, in specific?
Yeah. So in PhD, I was working mainly in quantum entanglement, trying to understand what quantum entanglement is about, and where can I apply this for some engineering application. And we stumbled upon what is called as a graph state, and which uses properties of graph theory, and then we connected to a nice problem that came out of the blue. Actually, we were planning to submit a conference paper in frontiers in optics, and at the same time there was this storm in Florida, and it sort of uh, you know cut access to Florida from the rest of the US. And since we were looking at this graph state, we said, okay, how about thinking about the same problem here, that a node from the graph is gone. How do you recover the graph? So that was the problem that we posed at that time, and that was one of the main works of my thesis, that how to recover after working in quantum error correction. Fix errors, right? Errors are important. They are like, because of noise you have errors, and noise is the reason we have bread and butter. All the engineers have their bread and butter because of noise. So nature gives us noise so that you can tackle the noise and earn livelihood. uh, right. So that's what I was working on, and I'm continuing in the same aspects and some new problems in my new role.
Wonderful. Okay, go ahead, Ishanya.
Yeah. So the follow-up question was, what does doing meaningful research mean to you personally? beyond publications and outcomes?
I think asking questions, one should not be afraid of asking questions. Yeah, sometimes you ask silly questions, but you should not be afraid of asking silly questions. And that kind of if one can get the ability to ask questions and develop curiosity to unravel what's going on, to get to the bottom, right, of how things are happening, how is the universe revealing itself, what is it hiding, at the back of the universe, what's going on. So, unraveling this mystery and not making so sometimes we get too focused and lose the big picture. So not losing the sight of what exactly is the main crux of the problem, and open and always having the attitude of learning, and having this uh, steadfast feeling that we don't know much, right? Only then you can be curious and try to learn more. If you think you know everything, then they don't learn much, right? That sort, being hungry for knowledge is what is important in research.
Yeah, sure. Wow, I mean, that's quite a bit. Um, I mean, I have quite a lot of questions coming into my mind, but let's start with the beginning. As you rightly said, right? Like most of the people that started the journey, like after school, it's they usually want to be like ended up in IIT, right? And for most of them, it doesn't happen that way. So I teach in a tier 3 college, and I see that every day, like people lose sense of hope. And so I'm interested that part of your journey, like when IIT didn't happen, like what did you do? Where did you end up? And how did you kind of manage that struggle? Or sometimes I think people also started feeling like belittle themselves, like, okay, I'm not enough, I'm not good enough that to get into these sort of places. Eventually you realize that it's not the place, right? It's kind of, even if you don't get into that, you have enough qualities, a lot of good qualities that you can do well in life. And for example, you were proof of that, right? So please share more about that part of your journey.
See, when I went to say my engineering college,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that one can become a researcher or
Right.
no such opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And we had this 6 week internship that we were supposed to get graded for, right? So
Mm-hmm.
either it has to be industry or internship, academic internship. And that is when, since I was living in Bangalore, I tried my best to, ask any professor if they would let me work with them. And I worked with Professor KVS Hari, uh, and he basically showed me, or he gave the feel for what research is about.
Mm-hmm.
And, and that's where I sort of felt, this is, I think, where I'm comfortable, or this is a natural setting. I think this is where I belong, something like that happened. And I was open to other avenues, but at the bottom of my heart in my heart, I was knowing that I think this is where I belong. And I realized, so I learned latex. So latex was the most beautiful thing that happened in that internship. Since then, I rarely use Word, right? The Microsoft Word, and I generally make my document, and it's so beautiful. So I created documents on my own, and that was actually, creating, it was like art plus science, right? Art, you're using both the left brain and the right brain to create something of your own, right? You are a creator.
Right.
I was waiting in some sense to see where can I go next, right? Having this training, what can I do more? Where can I build more on top of this? So the natural thing was to go for a master's. Uh, and IIC, I just loved it because very beautiful campus and a lot of trees. Uh, and that's where this desire for coming back to IIC was.
Right.
And I think qualifying through GATE, uh, and eventually it happened. Got into IIC, and
Wonderful. Yeah, for the listeners who don't know what is a LaTeX, LaTeX is essentially a kind of a editing tool for especially people who work in mathematics related stuff, so that like you can, it's a kind of a programming as well, like you can build in stuff. It's not unlike Word. If you can code it well, it can do beautiful stuff, as Ankur was saying. So Ankur, can you talk more about this beginning part of the journey, right? When you didn't get IIT, then you must have been heartbroken, as you said. So what did you do to kind of to cheer yourself up, right? Or from that point to kind of trying to go and do research or like doing this internship, how did that leap happen?
uh, I did not plan as such.
Mm-hmm.
I was not thinking too much.
Mm,
It was just, okay, you got into a decent college.
right.
Let's build on whatever you learned.
Mm,
I did not plan as such.
right. Mm-hmm.
It just happened, and I
Right.
was heartbroken. Definitely, it did not happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I did not plan, like, I did not see it as okay, that life is ending. Life has to move on, right? One cannot be just obsessed with this desire for IIT, thinking that this is the end of life.
Mm-hmm.
At least that sense was prevailing. I'm not sure how it came,
Yeah.
uh, but it just, so I did not plan as such. It just happened. Things happened.
Right.
I
Yeah.
just got the opportunity, and I just
Mm-hmm.
built on
Wonderful. So you talked about quantum mechanics, right? That like you have this law in the beginning. You said that Brian Greene used to talk about that in National Geographic, as you said, and then eventually it kind of dots started connecting when you kind of finished your master towards your PhD, right? So what was that about quantum mechanics that you were kind of drawn into?
that. Everything, you know, fascinating. If I look back,
Mm-hmm.
double slit experiment,
Mm-hmm.
to this day, it just fascinates me how the observer can affect can change the outcome of an experiment. And
Right.
I keep thinking about it because uh, I think it has a lot of secrets. If you go very deep, it has a lot of secrets to unfold. And even to this day, I sort of think about it. And there are many things, quantum entanglement that came later. But for
Mm-hmm.
me, you know, much I don't remember much from those Brian Greene videos right now. It was, they were talking about multiple dimensions,
Mm-hmm.
string theory, then quantum mechanics, and this quantum electrodynamics. There was a nice animation. So it was
Right.
the fascination for those
Yeah.
animations created that
I see.
spark. Because I was too, I mean, maybe naive to understand the technicalities. But
Mm-hmm.
it was just these fancy animations that you make an impression at that age. So that was there. It was the right brain that got activated, those, not the left
Right.
brain. But when I had to make a decision, it sort of made sense.
Mm.
Go deep into that.
Yeah. So, like, let's say if you have to explain quantum mechanics to a layman, or like, let's say to a 15-year-old kid who doesn't know much about quantum mechanics, and you mentioned quite a few times quantum entanglement. How do you explain it to them?
So first thing, I will definitely start with my double slit experiment,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and tell them, that there is a way of explaining things, that a particle can be in multiple places at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
contrary to our classical world. If I'm here,
Yeah.
I'm here, right?
Right.
And quantum mechanical principles are this superposition. That means
Mm-hmm.
that particle can be in multiple places at the same time, uh, and because of that, it gives rise to some phenomena like quantum entanglement, where
Mm-hmm.
doing something at one end of Earth can influence something elsewhere.
Right.
It has a bearing on the measurement at a different location. So there is some non-locality that's going on.
Yeah.
things are non-local, and that is the like it's, even though you could be geographically far apart.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Right.
In fact, it is our common experience, right? If you
Hmm.
see, you look at it from a deeper point of view,
Telepathy.
sometimes, yes, precisely. You think about some person and that person shows up, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Uh, if you are really connected with that
Hmm.
person shows.
Yeah. I think like before this conversation started, like Ishani was talking about your meditation spirituality. I mean, I read bit about Max Planck's life, and he was also into quantum mechanics and so on. Yeah, so I hear like I also saw, like read quite a lot about him that he was like spiritual, and like most of the people that I have seen in quantum mechanics also has the spiritual side. So do you think your spirituality has something to do with uh, this like your love and fascination for quantum mechanics as well?
I think because of spirituality, I keep myself open and
Mm-hmm.
try to connect. If one
Right,
were, I'm not sure if it would be possible to think or connect, because there are people who are like hardcore quantum mechanics
right.
per people, and they don't
Mm.
want to even hear
Think of, yeah.
the even s of spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
But so it's basically my inherent interest to connect things, because at the for me, I believe that at the core of everything, it's just one principle,
Mm-hmm.
right? Everyone is wanting to get to that one principle, whether it is starting with John Dalton. Everyone wants to find what is this fundamental particle, right, which is making up the universe, or
Mm-hmm.
other people who are working in science, they want to know what is this one phenomena or one principle that can explain everything, right? They are talking about unification of forces. Can there be one equation which can explain everything?
Yeah.
So scientists are also actually looking at the same question, where they are looking at one principle, or finding out that one principle that is at the core of everything that we observe.
Yeah.
And from a spiritual point of view, it's precisely the same thing, right? So it's same. I mean, it's two sides of the same coin. If you were to look deep enough, you will find that there's one governing principle.
Yeah. 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 So essentially, what you're saying is that spirituality is trying to explain things. I mean, we are trying both quantum mechanics or science in general. Yeah, exactly.
It tries to say the same thing.
Spirituality takes the like path within, like you try to understand what is going on within, and through that you try to understand the universe. And in quantum mechanics, you kind of look into the outside world and look into the phenomena, and then from that observation, you kind of reach to a hypothesis or theorem in that way, right?
Right. The way we have sort of looked at the modern science, science is looking
Hmm.
at objects outside and trying to figure out what is this?
Yeah,
What is
yeah.
this? And
Hmm.
spirituality is about who am I?
Absolutely. Yeah,
At some point of time, you will realize it's the same. Inside and
yeah,
outside is the same.
yeah.
I have not come to that realization yet.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Interesting discussion. I think Jagadish Chandra Bose, when he did his experiment with the slate as well, right? Like with the plants as well as with the metals. So his idea was exactly kind of bit similar. But because he was a very grown up in a family, like a Brahmin family who was like studying Vedanta and so on. And so he knew all this from childhood. So he wanted to kind of quantify uh, the, the consciousness, right, in a scientific way which you can measure, right? So that's why kind of he tried to hit. I guess you know that. So he tried to hit that matter. I think it was steel or aluminum or something. Then after some time, this matter showed fatigue, like it happened for the plant as well, right? And if you hit enough, then it can become dead in that sense, right? So that's how he was like trying to connect the both world, like we're discussing right now here. Yeah, interesting stuff. Um, Ishanya, I think you can go ahead.
Sounds a very enlightening book. I think the perspective of spirituality that comes in this conversation is really nice. But I have another question. I think it's more academic related. As a researcher, I've seen people work on specific topics or domains. And how do you decide which problems are worth spending your time and effort on? And is there any topic or question that you wanted to work on, but you consciously avoid it because you feel it's risky or unproductive? So,
So actually, now at this stage, I like to take as a game. It's a gamble. So I actually don't plan like this is something that I have to work. Let's say I want to unify all the forces. I want to. There's no such nothing like that. It just comes. I take a decision listening to my heart. So it's more the right brain is more involved. As and when I find something interesting, I just pick it up. The students, I sort of seed the problem. Let's explore. They come back with some discussions, and we have discussions. So it's not really so much obsessed with solving a certain problem. Uh, I'm just, again, as I said, trying to find out the commonalities of how let's say quantum entanglement is having an effect in all that we are doing. Uh, how is quantum mechanical principles being applied? And from an engineering point of view, I think, see, people, they learn quantum mechanics and this, the way physicists learn, they go through a lot of rigorous physics. For an engineering point of view, I would like to look at it from another point of view, which is uh, whatever is there in quantum mechanics, I can explain using quantum computing, right? So if the universe can be explained using quantum mechanics, then quantum computing can do the same thing, right? So I can use, say, qubits and all that to explain similar principles uh, because I can explain uncertainty principle using quantum computing, right? And there are many other phenomena, right? All these things can be explained using quantum computing. So for me, if my fundamental block is good enough, that should be able to explain whatever quantum mechanics is explaining the universal phenomena and all that. So I would like to see everything being displayed outside using the same quantum computing principles. So for me, as long as that is there, I try to pick it up, and that's already good, more than enough, for whatever my till my retirement. It's already too much. One says there's plenty of room at the bottom.
on quantum computing, its application from an engineering perspective, and where do you see it in the next 10 years, sir?
Uh, sure. Actually, this field is very interdisciplinary. If one were to go with computer science kind of background, one would be looking at algorithms, which is to solve certain problems faster than a classical computer. There is always this fight going on, which is there's a lot of hype, and I try to keep the hype down, which is like you can't solve everything using quantum computers. Only certain problems can be solved. So I would like to bring down the hype, whatever is possible, and at the same time. Uh, if you see from a mathematical point of view, there are already enough problems to work on in terms of operators and quantum information theories. And there is also connections to philosophy. Like let's say, or even thermodynamics. People, as I said, looking at the same principle everywhere. What is that same principle? So mathematics has a role, and from an engineering point of view, I think it is. So whatever physicists are uh, trying to emulate, it's like creating an artificial atom, right? Uh, so they are artificially creating something that can be like a quantum engineering, right? So quantum engineering engineering the quantum mechanics inside, let's say, a photonic chip, right? That will be something to look for from an engineering point of view, right? You have a, let's say, a quantum chip, maybe a superconducting chip or a photonic chip, where you can perhaps simulate the entire quantum mechanics on that chip. That would be fantastic to actually do, right? Imagine photosynthesis being displayed in a quantum chip, right? That will be amazing. And there are multiple such phenomena, because, as I said, if the universe is being explained using quantum mechanics, and quantum mechanics can be shown using quantum computers, then on a chip you could be able to show the same phenomena that is happening outside.
See how this domain would evolve probably in the next 10 years.
As of now, the race is in making fault-tolerant computers. First one has to make a computer, right? That's where the race is as of now. And the second problem would be to see the utility. Where would you actually be using a quantum computer? Uh, so these are the two problems. Making a quantum computer really good and fast, and fast anyways, that is there. And then so as I said, you know, making these simulations, right? Trying to solve certain problems, hard problems. The classical computers won't be able to. So two things: utility and the making the computer.
Follow-up question. This is coming from a different perspective, probably. You were talking about quantum computing, all this fault torrent systems and stuff. How do you think open source technology has impacted the domain per se?
So open source people, for example, definitely in the computer science uh, domain, one would be looking at compilers or operating systems. So if these days, whatever people are doing in the open source regime is mainly computer science driven. They make some softwares and so on. And as of now, people who don't have access to hardware, right? They don't have all those big machines, so they have resorted to making software. So they think of a layer where the software will, sort of handshake with the hardware. So the open source is for the software, because you can't do much without a hardware, which is available only with certain people. Fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know. So the hardware is with certain people, but the open source is where you can build a software layer on top, and there's a lot of scope there.
So is there any exciting work in quantum computing with open source
Yeah,
technologies?
yeah, definitely. These compilers, there are companies and there are independent researchers who are trying to make softwares. I am involved in a project where I'm trying to make a small layer, uh, software layer that can handshake with the hardware.
You have any questions, Bhim?
Yeah, yeah. So, what I hear from you is that, like, what makes a scientist excited about the world, right? So, science is basically a tool that we're trying to explain the world from different perspective, and your perspective is like through quantum mechanics or things related to quantum, and that's how you're trying to understand and explain the phenomena of the world that we're talking about, right? And this theory of everything. So that's the theory aspect of it, right? When it comes to the practical application, one application you just talked about is that kind of making this layer on the top of this hardware where actually it makes things much more accessible or easy to use. Uh, what could be the other applications, or what are other aspects you are working on besides this, if you are? I
So
mean, that itself, yeah.
sure, I'm involved in a quantum communication project where,
Mm-hmm.
again, here also we are making a software
Mm-hmm.
uh, for networks, quantum networks, where there is this network simulator, NS2 and NS3 right now, where they simulate large networks, right? If you want
Okay.
to say simulate a network. within, say, ICER-B, right?
mm,
You would want to know what kind of packet losses will be there, what kind of speeds
mm,
would you expect,
mm,
how
mm,
many nodes, if you add in the network, you are
mm,
expected to have a certain speed
mm.
in each link. So you simulate
Right.
things. So similarly, for a quantum network, where you have these photons flying from one place to the other,
Mm, mm.
what kind of uh, secret keys would you be able to establish? So, for example, what is called as a quantum key distribution.
Mhm.
So, I'm working in this area where one has to generate keys, these secret keys, so
Right.
that it can add on top of the existing classical
Mhm.
communication network to make things secure,
Yeah.
unhackable and those kind of things.
Yeah.
Non-eavesdrop. So you should not be able to, you should make your communication free from
Mm.
eavesdropping or
Yeah.
tampering and all those things.
Yeah. So when we're talking about quantum networks, um, like I'm thinking of two things. One is that is where involved? Of course, not the where that we know in the common sense, where like normal computers are like communicating, right? Or because of quantum entanglement, do you still need like physical where to computers to
So
communicate with each other, or we can do
definitely.
it like
Yeah, to
without it?
establish entanglement, definitely you will need a physical medium. You will,
Okay.
in order to, send, let's say, 2 qubits which are entangled, you will need a
Mm.
physical medium, right? To
Okay.
establish the two, to establish a link, you will need a physical medium. So definitely, once the entanglement is there, then on top of that, one can do these fancy things, which is called as quantum key distribution, making sure that both communicating nodes have the same key, secure key.
Right. Right. Okay. Yeah. So it cannot be. So, for example, why I'm saying that, like, when you are talking about quantum entanglement and non-locality, so then these things are not physically connected, right? But they're still kind of in sync in
Initially,
a way.
in order to get entangled, they need to be
Okay.
together. Later, you
Uh-huh.
can be far apart, and then whatever you do on one,
Can be. Hmm.
it can
Could be
influence.
affecting others. I see. Yeah. Okay. So, like, the kind of research is still kind of in the theoretical stage, right? Because you cannot apply it anywhere. Or could
No,
you?
no, things are no. These quantum key distributions are shown. They are
Hmm.
shown, but now we are trying to make it over a network. Initially, it was just 2 nodes. Now,
Hmm.
if you are thinking about multiple nodes, arbitrary topologies between arbitrary distances, and make it slightly more complicated. So imagine thinking of connecting various cities and so on and so forth. So one would say ideally want to, let's say, create a network of various cities, or very highly secure communication network, uh, maybe in defense and so on. One would be requiring such secure networks.
Right, right. All right. So let's switch it like gear completely from academic discussion to towards your campus life, right? Like you said that you are exploring life. So tell us more about that. Like how is it being a professor in IIS here? Like apart from academics, what do you do, and what makes it really exciting?
Yeah. So as I said, campus life keeps me young. I call myself sports, cultural activities. I volunteer for an NGO. I teach meditation and these things so that people can be grounded. They can be you know they can really realize that there is something more to life, uh, not just some grades, those things.
So, you being a student for quite some time, like bachelor's, master's, and PhD, and then like being on the other side, right? So, what kind of perspective has changed from being a student to a professor? I guess you have been professor for like almost a decade now,
No,
seven,
no,
8 years.
no, 4 years.
4 years, okay, okay, 4 years. But then you were in like doing postdoc, which doesn't consider as a student. Like until PhD, that's fine, right? So it's been a while. So how does it feel? Or
Uh, I don't know. I honestly still think that I'm a student. I keep learning. But even when I'm teaching, I learn through the students. The student
absolutely. Hmm.
ask me, some of the students they ask very good questions, and after the class also I'm thinking like how do I explain it, or how could I have made it better so that the student would not get stuck. So that would be uh, how I am thinking right now. After the class, how to make it better, how to make it as simple as possible without making too simple, right?
Yeah.
So, how to get the point across? That is
Mm,
always this challenge, or going, at the back of my mind. How do I make
mm,
material as accessible
right,
as possible and connect it? Definitely make it philosophical. I
right.
think philosophy is something that is uh, missing maybe. And when you give that philosophical account, when you connect the academia, whatever we are learning in the classroom with the outer world, then it
Mm,
stays with them, right?
right.
Because as I said, it's the same principle, right? So whatever is
Mm,
happening in the classroom, whatever we are teaching, if they can
mm,
see, oh, the same principles can be applied outside, uh,
right.
then it's fantastic. So I try to bring in philosophy as much as possible in the class.
Wow.
It
That's
was not there, which I did not have any experience
mm,
before,
mm,
in teaching too. But it
mm,
was maybe with a few friends. But now I take the gamble of, sharing it with students
mm,
without, fearing that they will judge me. That's fine.
right.
Uh,
Yeah. That's wonderful. So like um and some student would like get lost कि AI इंसान क्या बोल रहा है like मुझे कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा है. So how do you kind of balance that? Because it happened to me so many times when I'm teaching machine learning. I would be talking about how human learns and then connect it to like learnings, right? Because that's kind of the fundamentals of it. And a lot of student would be like, what are you doing? Because I'm being very honest. I thought they can like open up to me quite easily. How do you find that balance, and how do you make sure that like people are still on board?
but I think if you give if you attach a joke with the
Uh-huh.
idea, they generally uh,
Uh-huh.
accept it.
Right.
Uh, there's a funny part added to it. They generally take it, and they will not be saying what's going on. Uh, Sometimes, see, there will always be some people who will not get it. You can't do much. So maybe they go back after some years, they may be able to see the same point. But I don't expect everyone to see the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Uh, it's fine. It actually happens spontaneously. Many a
Mm,
things it happens in the class. So I prepare some material, and boom, a question comes, and then I go completely into a different realm.
mm,
Uh, but I think I tend to be more spontaneous and more natural.
right.
Actually, don't plan much. And maybe after the class, I think again
Mm,
with this thought, could I have made it better? And in the next class, I come back and continue from there. That this is what we studied, and this is what I said. I think you can think about it from a different point of view and connect it to what was being said. If you don't see it, it's fine.
right.
Don't get too overwhelmed. It's
Mm,
fine. They have to be
yeah, yeah,
given that
yeah.
assurance, right? Otherwise,
Absolutely.
they may feel left out.
Mm, mm, mm. Um, So, like, you seem to be a person who is like naturally very curious, right? Like, and people who want to understand the world by design, they're curious, but not a lot of it. It doesn't always happen, right? And sometimes we need people to kind of create that spark in us, and how do you do that?
Well, I will take a rather radical thought, which is everyone is born with a curious mind.
Absolutely,
You see
absolutely.
a small kid, we were born
Mhm.
curious, right?
Yeah,
And it's just that the society shaped us and created this or covered the
confined us. Yeah.
curiosity inside, right? They veiled,
Mm.
the society veiled the curiosity. So I think to the degree one can take off that veil, to the degree one stays less distracted, or one can, you know, come back to how we were born, right? To that
Mm.
curiosity. I think curiosity can be kindled uh, if you work with students
Mm-hmm.
closely. It may not
Right.
happen with everyone. If you have, for example, research group is where you can work with students more closely, right? And
Yeah.
if they are not curious in the beginning, when I ask them to work on a certain project and I ask them certain questions,
Mm.
they figure it out on their own, with discussions, and then they realize, wow, oh, this was already inside me, right?
Mm.
I did not recognize it. So with certain students who work closely with you, it can be kindled, but
Mm.
not with everyone, right? In the classroom, it may be hard.
Mm.
We can try as much as possible,
Right.
but sometimes it requires a slightly more attention, right? As machine learning people say, all you need is a little bit of attention.
Yeah.
So with
Yeah.
attention and support, we can kindle the curiosity. I think I'm.
I can. Yeah. Okay. You're back.
We are back.
No, no, you're fine. You're back now. Perfect. Yeah. So it's kind of you just have to like. I think somebody told me like long time back, like a good teacher doesn't quench your thirst. He or she actually increase it more, right? Giving you the right question to think about and kind of pointing you towards the right direction. Very interesting. Um, so I think we grew up in an era where there was not much internet and not that much information. However, this age is very different, right? Like as we're talking right before this conversation started. Um, so being student, what it meant for us, and being student, what it means for like this generation is completely different, right? They're overwhelmed with so many things, and their challenges are quite different in that way. So, uh, how do you like help students who come to you, like, and kind of I'm not sure if I'm able to formulate the questions well, but like, how do you channelize their energy? Because they definitely have a lot of qualities, as you rightly said. Like everybody is curious, and similarly, everybody's genius, right, some way or the other. So, being a teacher, how do you bring the best of a person, not necessarily in the score in this field that you're studying? Because look, a lot of people come and then they discover that they are not made for the field, right? But that doesn't mean that they are not good enough. They are good in something else. And so I think as a teacher, it's our responsibility, and as you also rightly mentioned, um, kind of life is not only about grades. There are a lot of other things to explore. So how do you balance that between studying and like doing well in your course versus being able to explore things outside of the course?
Asking the question for from a student point of view, or
Yeah,
from
yeah, from a student's point of view, right?
uh, see, I think if one can reduce the distractions, so again it comes back to like handling the mind better. Since we did not have so many distractions, we had
Right.
fairly few options,
Hmm.
and we just took one, and that's it. Their life took turns, right? But current generation is actually more challenged because they have plenty of options. They are
Yeah.
thoroughly confused, and it requires some training of the mind to not get distracted. Uh, If there are too many distractions, they will continue to be in the same position, right?
Mm-hmm.
So first is to actually look at what have you been doing. Actually, a little bit of introspection is important. If you don't introspect, you will be looking outside and you will not be yourself. You will be becoming somebody else. You will be doing because somebody else is doing. That I'm seeing in the current generation, and I feel that this is the challenge they are facing actually. Heart in heart, they don't know. Maybe some
Mm.
people know it, they
Mm.
realize, they come to realization, but uh, it definitely happens. So maybe in our generation we quickly realized it, but the current generation will realize it later when they start introspecting. So if one can take time to introspect, the sooner will we make more informed decisions
Mm.
and make a balance. But because there is a lot of distractions, they are not able to make an introspection, and that is where the challenge is. So maybe I'm not sure if I answered your
Mm.
question.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel the same that people need to sit down with themselves and kind of look within. Um,
And
so,
so for
yeah,
somebody who makes, I, I mean, generally, if somebody wants to work with me and they want to know if they're good for research, I just generally give them tough problems, right? If
right,
you can get through a tough problem and if you enjoy it, right,
yeah,
then you know that this is where you belong.
for you,
And
yeah,
if you can't do, or if you are struggling, then better take a different route. No,
mm.
it's very simple. Not
Right,
everyone has to do research. Not everyone has to do a PhD. There are plenty of options. But to tell them, that you should go into a different stream, will first you need to tell them what is there in this domain, right?
yeah,
What
yeah,
is there in research. So if you give them an easy problem, they solve it. They may think that they are made for it, and later
mm.
realize no, this is not their cup of tea. So first
Mm.
thing would be to give a tough problem, right, and test them out, right. So if they pass, if they think they enjoy, at the end, see, it may be like at the end of the day, the student has to enjoy. If the student enjoys, then they continue in the
Mm.
same domain, right? I had a very good student. He came from ISER Pune. Uh, Gave him a tough problem. He got a publication, but at the end of the day, he realized, no, this is
Not
not what I
for you,
want to do,
yeah,
and that's fair, right? It's a fair
yeah,
assessment, and that person actually, um, you know, did introspection that
yeah,
no, I can't do this for the rest of my life.
right,
So that is where this filter has to happen, right? You give them a tough problem, it's fine. People make decisions, and they fail. That's fine. And once they fail, they realize uh, what they need to do. So the failures will actually give them a time to pause, a moment to introspect. The failures in life, they give a chance for the student to introspect more.
think,
It's the failures that gives them time to introspect. So if you look at it from a bigger perspective, it's fine. Let them take a decision, let them fail. Uh, and once they fail, they take time to introspect and then they make a decision. So it's just that finally, at the end of the day, sometime, someday, uh, they will actually introspect. It can take 5 years, it can take 10 years, it can take 1 year, and everyone will,
right,
at some point of time, they will introspect.
yeah, interesting. Um, so you,
So you're talking
please
about
go ahead.
giving students tough problems to work on. So do you think research is more about perseverance? Like different people come from different backgrounds on how much a person should persevere is very subjective. So if let's say a person is introspecting and their perseverance threshold is lower, they would automatically quit. But probably if they had probably pursued a little bit more, they would have succeeded in solving the problem. So how would you probably quantify how much someone should work towards a tough problem or solving it?
See, if one makes genuine efforts, they will. they will definitely, at some point of time, they will be able to tackle the problem. See, there's always this conflict between IQ versus EQ. Uh, if a person has good EQ, right, they can actually do better than people who have high IQ. So for me, I generally have observed that people with good EQ, right, with good perseverance, they can, with continuous training, continuous assessment, and learning without giving up. If every day everyone clocks in about a couple of hours, 3 hours, 4 hours every day, perseverance, and after some point of time, it will become very easy for them. The same subject which initially was very hard will become easy. Uh, and at some point of time they will be more like like an expert, much better than the person who had a high IQ but did not see deep enough. So it's the people who are more perseverant, they stay long in research.
Yeah, I think it's
My
true for
opinion.
any field. It's true for any field. Perseverance is needed no matter what you do in life. Research, anything you do, you need perseverance for sure.
How EQ, research, all of this is connected.
Maybe I will
How
give you an
does one
example I
monitor
heard from.
EQ probably?
I will maybe give an example what Harsha Bhogle gave long back. So I was born and I was at a time where Tendulkar was the one. We were big fans of Tendulkar. So Tendulkar and Kambli, right? Vinod Kambli, they were two upcoming players, right? And they visit South Africa, and Kambli gets bouncers, and he's unable to he quits. He doesn't do he doesn't go back, and he doesn't do his homework. Tendulkar, on the other hand, he gets bouncers, but he does net practice, and he persevered. And then you can see, right, how Kambli eventually fared and compared to Tendulkar. It's the perseverance, right? So the EQ plays a higher role. If you can get back and stay humble, stay grounded, you know these are some qualities that definitely takes you farther. Sincerity, being perseverant, not giving up. Soft skills, right? The soft skills are more important than the technical knowledge. And you see all the people who are so-called successful, their soft skills are making them so-called successful.
And to persevere, as you were talking about how this generation has a lot of distractions and they fail to stick to a problem. So, how should probably, I'm asking for all my generation probably, how should one train your mind and sit down and think about a problem? And I think this generation has an issue with FOMO, like fear of missing out. You're saying how people are doing 10 different things because in their mind, if they don't do it, it feels like they're gonna fall back probably in their social life or academics and so on. So, how should one train their mind, calm themselves to sit down and do one thing probably?
So I think that is where you have to listen to wise people. No, our country has had a lot of wise people. If you listen to wise people, then automatically things will be back in shape. So wise people have been always telling you, you need to see, where do you get your happiness? How do you get your happiness? Because at the end of the day, everyone wants happiness, no? But where are we looking for happiness? Is it outside or is it inside? So once that question is understood, they will not they will not go behind. They will not go running behind 10 different things. If they realize that if doing one thing properly gives me that happiness, and doing 10 different things will not give you so much happiness, then people will realize, doing one thing properly gives you the same juice uh, which is available, but doing 10 different things, it may not get you even the juice. So it's like digging, the ground. If you dig 10 different, holes, you will not get water. If you dig one properly, go deep enough, you will find water. right? So that wisdom is important, and I have been telling to students, but it's that people who catch it, they understand. So they may intellectually think yes, but still it's the feelings that drives, it's the feeling that overpowers them. So the mind, even though intellectually you may agree, disagree, but it's the feelings that overpowers. So one has to be able to handle feelings much better. It's the feelings that drive you. So one can take the feelings as passing clouds, sit and listen to wise people. There are plenty of books written by wise people. So if one can read good books from wise people, then automatically you will be grounded. You'll not run after 10 things.
Can you name some of
Suggest
these
some
wise
books.
people? Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
Can you name some of these wise people and books written by them?
Well, we had the wisest. Well, like Lord Krishna, he said so many things. You can read Bhagavad Gita. The Indian scriptures have it all. So one has to actually realize the importance. We are not thinking about them as being supreme. In fact, the most supreme knowledge came from this country. It's just that we are looking at West and thinking they are doing cool things. But actually, there's a lot of supreme stuff here, right? You are sitting on a jackpot and looking everywhere else, and instead of looking where you are actually sitting. So I think that's where one has to turn the knob from looking outside to looking where you are. When you realize you have everything on your plate, then you will not go everywhere. What is If you are happy with gulab jamun, you will not go for ras malai and other things because everything is sweet at the end of the day, right? One has to realize that everything is available within or where you are. Prime importance should be given, but again, these are words. Some people will get it, some people will get it later, but eventually everyone will get it. That's by design because everyone is looking for happiness. So some point of time they will definitely uh, figure it out. It's just some people take it 1 year, 10 years, uh, 50 years, and so on.
Perfect. I think we had a really lovely chat, starting from quantum mechanics to spirituality to helping student to happiness. It's quite diverse topic. Thank you, Ankur.
Too
Uh,
many questions I want to ask,
Perfect.
probably, not just for
Okay.
myself, but for students, I think, across my time. And one of them is circling back to sticking to one problem and focusing on finding answers to that problem. Again, there is a lot of peer pressure, again, to do a lot of, I mean, do 10 things. So let's say I'm someone who wants to stick to one problem or just few problems and just work on those aspects. And that would come with a lot of judgment. I think even people going into research, people would ask, why do you want to go there? People say that there's no, XYZ things. This is better, that is better. And sometimes we get pushed into a certain path with peer pressure. So how should one probably work with the judgment and peer pressure that comes from external uh, sources?
See, there will never be a time when there will be no judgments, right? You will
Yeah,
always get judgments. So if you give too much importance to judgments, you will never reach your goal, right? If you keep getting kicked like in a football, right? Like a football, right? So somebody says, "Why are you eating gulab jamun?" Somebody will say, "Why are you eating dosa?" Somebody will say, "Why are you eating?" You will never eat, no? If you keep listening to various judgments, right? You will be kicked around like a football, and you will never reach your goal. So you need to prioritize whether you want to reach goal or satisfy all the judgments or opinions of people.
probably circling back to much previous topics you're talking about students and how some are just lost completely lost while people are teaching. I think if I talk about my academic journey, I honestly did not know how to study or learn. Usually in IIT you're just given a set of questions and you're doing it mindlessly. In the span of 3 minutes, you need to do this one question, even GATE or any exam. We forget how to learn, I think. And I think one of the nicest things that I learned from Isa Bhopal and from Ankur sir was how to learn, how it should be non-linear. Learning is not linear. You just don't make notes and stack it up one below the other. And in one of the classes, he taught how to probably make non-linear notes, summarize in one page. And then every time sir teaches, he goes back to what was taught in the previous class. And that adds so much context and continuity to learning. So, probably from your words, what are your suggestions on how people should be learning? And especially given the era of ChatGPT and advent of LLMs, people just, I even myself, I had to sit and introspect on why things are going wrong. So, from your words, I think you have great advice, sir. How should a student be learning?
So if I ask you, describe your most memorable birthday, right? How would you can just start from anywhere. You can just start, right? And you
Yes.
can go on for half an hour, right? Right? And how did that happen? Because the way the content is stored in your brain is not linear. You will not start, okay, oh, you are asking me about my most memorable birthday. Okay, it happened at the age of 16. Okay, before I go to 16, I need to start from age 3, age 4. You don't go linearly, right? You go right directly at the age of 16, right? So people need to, or the students need to understand how memories are stored. And one excellent book is this book called Ready, Steady, Go. If somebody can study that book, it talks about actually how to study. And instead of struggling for hours, you can be smart. You can be a smart learner. Ready, Study, Go talks about mind maps. So mind maps are it's sort of a way the memory is stored in our brain. It sort of mimics. So if you are actually aligned with the way the brain is, right, how the memory is in the brain and how things get stored in the brain, then all you need to do is align the learning according to the brain. What we are doing is we are not aligning the learning and how the brain is, right? It's like you are given a computer, but you are thinking analog. Let's say you have a digital computer, but you're thinking analog, right? Something, I'm just giving a vague example. You need to know how the brain is. So, mind maps are an excellent way where you can just summarize or, make notes and everything you can summarize in one page. And it's the beautiful part is your right brain is also active. The way we learn, we only have our left brain activated. Thinking, you are using only the logical brain. It's like you have a cycle, but you are only using one wheel, right? Imagine you're learning only with the left brain and compare that with the learning with left brain and right brain together, right? So the right brain comes in when it adds that juice, right? It gets you excited, it adds that feeling, it adds the feeling to the concept, right? So both left brain and right brain are active, and learning will happen effortlessly. And I did not know about this book or how to learn until very late. But now, as I teach, at the back of my mind, these mind maps are working. So it's staying with me for fairly longer time than it used to be while I was learning as a student. So mind maps are perfect. That's one thing. And the second thing is discussion with your peers. If you don't discuss with your peers, you actually lose out on considerable amount of learning. If you want to be a smart learner, actually the learning happens in the lineage of what I've understood. There are four parts to learning. First is your self effort. Second is effort by the teacher. And the third is discussion with your peers. Fourth happens with time. Whatever idea, stay with it for some time, and the last quadrant comes with time. But the three quadrants, right? That is the 75% of the learning happens through these three. Self-effort, effort of the teacher, and discussion with your peers. So if you don't discuss with your peers, you're only learning 50%, right? If you're not doing self-effort, you're dependent only on the teacher, 25%. So to the degree you want to make your life easier is to involve yourself in all the three, which is discussion with peers, uh, teacher's effort, and self-effort. And when I say self-effort, people learn just before an exam. That's not self-effort. And research has shown, if you learn a subject, if a teacher is teaching, if you go back to it within 1 or 2 days, it is going to stay longer with you. Unlike studying just before an exam, you are making your life much miserable by studying on the last day of the exam. Imagine opening a subject only 4 times a semester. It's terrible. It's incomplete injustice to the subject, to the teacher, to the book, to the author of the book who spent his entire life on that book, making that book, and you're sparing only 4 times. You're giving only the time of which is worth only 4 times a semester, which is complete injustice. And that is why we struggle, right? That is where there's a pressure cooker just before an exam. The students make their brain as a pressure cooker just before an exam. So I would say just curtail your the habit of not studying just before just after after your class. Only studying before an exam, you are actually not learning. You're not learning at all. Put effort just after a class. How much? Just 15-20 minutes, right? Barely 15-20 minutes. Have another discussion, maybe 10-15 minutes with your peers. You're done. That will stay much longer. And make these nice mind maps. Bring in your right brain. Make these beautiful figures. Add color. It brings that feeling aspect in the subject, and you enjoy the subject more. Compared to learning it the way we are learning, right? That is where the challenge is. The way we are learning is not aligned with the way brain is structured. There's a lot of beautiful research in neuroscience, how the brain is, how the learning happens. We are making machines learn, and we are forgetting how to learn ourselves.
Thank you
So the
for
name of the book, right? Ready, Steady, Go. Can you tell the name of the author? Is it the yeah?
Dinesh
Sorry.
Godke and
Right. Khurshid
Batliwala.
Bhattiwala, yeah. Bhattiwala.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Found it. Thank you.
And the other thing is, I mean, I'm tempted because this question is very passionate to
Sure.
me. Sleep is very important. Students don't sleep, and that is where brain is fried. Actually, with a fried brain, what can you expect? Imagine putting your brain in oil and frying it. What will you get out of it? You're screwing your brain by not sleeping on time. And with 1%, 2%, 5% efficiency, what can you do?
So actually, sleep is not just restricted to academia, not just students. I think across continents, countries, and age groups, people are failing to sleep that complete 7 hours, eight
Yeah,
hours. I think that
that
has
is
a
why
lot of
struggle,
impact.
right? That is why the struggle. That is why all that problems, right?
So apart from being a student, in your suggestion, what makes a good researcher? Probably what is a good
Not
researcher?
giving up.
Huh?
Not giving up, being perseverant. We have already discussed. Every day, going to your lab. It can be 2 hours, 3 hours, but every day clocking in that 2 to 3 hours. There was this
Consistency and perseverance.
consistency, right? So there was some formula. It's like philosophical. 1 point something to the power of 365. You see that becomes 37.
Power of compounding.
Compounding, right? Every day you clock in a couple of hours, and you see the benefit.
Thank you, sir. And what are the lessons probably that you learned that the year is coming to an end? Probably, what are the lessons you learned in 2025 or some things you'd probably like to share with anyone watching?
Nothing comes to my brain. Everything, not specific, but life is a learning. Entire life is a learning. Uh, okay, maybe this one. It's better to take an average student to maybe a below average student to above average than making bright students perform exceedingly well.
Why is that?
So for me, see, as a teacher, if you already get somebody who is bright and who knows what to do, what is your effort? You don't need much training. No, the students don't need much training. They are on their own. But somebody who is below average, and because of you, if they can become above average and get back that interest, get back that curiosity, I will say my life is more fruitful in this scenario. Maybe you should see this movie called October Sky. It's the impact of the yeah. It's because of the teacher, the student became somebody a top scientist at NASA. I think that's what we need to do. And there's one more movie I can't recall the name. It's Hilary Swank.
It's
Uh,
freedom writers, sir.
ha, ha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So something like that. That's my learning for this year.
That is one of the best movies I think I have ever seen. Uh, Freedom Writers. I think everyone should check it out. So I think we've come to an end. It was a very interesting and extremely enjoyable conversation for me. And I think anyone watching would learn a lot of things, how to learn, perseverance, what makes a good researcher, and what is life apart from academics and technical stuff. Thank you so much for joining, sir. Biman, that you want to say anything?
No, it's good. We can stop the record and maybe we can call, have little more chat because we have taken already quite a lot of time
Yeah.
from this man. He might have to go for dinner and so on.